Are you looking to level up your author business?
Are you pounding your head against a wall, wondering what your next step should be? Then join me, Daniel Wilcox.
And me, Sacha Black, as we haul ass each week in a bid to level up.
Level up!
Come along for the ride as we delve deep into the business of writing,
Craft,
entrepreneurship,
and every level of the author journey. This is the Next Level Author Podcast.
Hello, Achievers. This is episode 51 of the Next Level Author Podcast, a podcast where we hold each other to account and track our step-by-step progress as we level up our author businesses. My name is Sacha Black, and here with me every week is...
Daniel Wilcox.
Hi!
Hello.
We're here. How was your week?
It happened.
Yeah.
How about yours?
Yep, it's ongoing. On Monday, I thought it was Thursday. On Thursday, I thought it was following Thursday. So, you know, it's been a week.
This week has been a month, as we say every week.
It has.
And we should probably set the tone by saying, like, we're not really at our best today. So we'll do the show. We're gonna, give it everything we've got. But dear God, I am tired. We had a call on Monday in which we strategized our business stuff, which was mentally ruinous.
It was ruinous. Oh my God, that is such a good description.
5 hours just to go, okay, so what we need to do is do the things that we're already doing, but finish the things that we've done.
True, that was the conclusion. Keep going and just fucking finish things before you take on anything else.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't everything. There were some other good things to come out of it in terms of me. I found sort of what my big goals are, which is really, really nice to have. But yeah, it was.
You also reorganized your calendar because I was like, what is this clusterfuck of nonsense in your calendar?
Bad.
I mean, it was quite bad. It was quite bad.
It wasn't that bad. But yeah, so that was mentally incredibly taxing in a good way. It's helpful and it gives more direction and makes everything else easier from here on out, and gives clarity on the stuff where I think we've been saying this for ages. After months and months of just being in the weeds without a break, you do just get really sort of zoned in on certain things, and you end up sort of making certain things important that aren't, and certain things that aren't important that are important unimportant, and it's just sort of pulling back and getting that perspective. But yeah, and then we went on to Tuesday, in which you believed it was Thursday somehow, and it's just been a long, heavy week of stuff. I finished the edits on Self-Publishing Blueprint, which was exciting, and that's now in the hand of beta readers. So I've got stuff that's rolling and on the way.
And of course, your best beta reader handed it back almost immediately, didn't they?
Thank you. Genuinely, thank you so much for that. I didn't expect you just to go ahead and slam through it, but I do appreciate it.
No, that's all right.
And yeah, it's cool because then I get to sort of move on to the next thing while other people are reading it, and then I'm going to apply all the edits and whatnot, and think of some kind of launch strategy. But yeah, next is the next big thing that I've got to focus on is the Omen's Call anthology, which the submissions for that end on the 28th, which is next Sunday. And then I've got a team assembled ready to start reading through all the submissions and narrowing it down to the final entries and getting an anthology together, which is very exciting. And that's with Julie Heiner, which is going to be very, very exciting to do. It's it'll be the first anthology I've done in a partnership, sort of collaboratively. So that'll be I'm really, really excited for it. And also Julie's sort of just a fantastic person to work with anyway, so it'll be fun. And what else has been going on? I feel like something else happened this week, but I can't remember what. So I'll leave it there. How about you? How's your week been?
Oh, I thought I'd already explained my week.
Okay, we can leave it there.
I don't know that I don't know what to add. It's been a shit week. And I haven't got done what I thought I was going to get done. And I've worked every night except last night. And then I ended up staying up really late anyway last night. I'm just fucking exhausted and I'm run down and I'm really, really fucking over lockdown. And I really want a holiday. I said to Chloe a couple of days ago, I am so desperate for a break away from this. Because the problem is, and I am completely aware that this is a first world problem, but I adore our house. I am so deeply grateful that we own a property. The problem is when you take a holiday from work and you stay in your property,
Yes.
you
Staycation.
want to do all of the things, you know, you want to, like, I know I need to go through some of the boxes that are upstairs and my office, because the office is going to go through a redesign when we put all the bookcase in. We've been measuring and designing all of that. And I know I need to go through a load of stuff. And like, I know if I take any time off, all I'm going to do is work and paint and drill things into the walls. And I need to go away, like away, in order to properly disconnect. And there's a lot of like life things that are going on that are really difficult at the moment as well. And I've just had enough. I've actually had enough of most things. I'm feeling a bit fed up, if I'm perfectly honest.
Yeah, I think just like you say, having a week minimum away to just be in a different environment. And again, it's perspective. Like when you're in the same place day in, day out, like you can't get perspective because it's just the same shit, different day. But I was talking to a friend yesterday and they were like, well, why don't you go away for a day? And it's like, even if I go away from it for a day, it's not enough.
No, because what happens is you come back and your fucking inbox is full and then you're behind. So you need to like get to a point where you can take a week or two off and people know you're taking a week or two off. And then, you know, by the time you get back, half of the inbox you can just delete because people have found their own responses or whatever.
Yes.
You know, it's that kind of thing that you need.
I want
anyway,
I want the Peak District for a week and I want to just disconnect from everything tech.
A tent. I do not want a tent. I want a fucking all-inclusive.
I'm not talking about
hotel.
you. I'm talking about me, Sacha.
Why would you want a tent? That's like the most uncomfortable. Camping. That is like who does that? Who wants a tent? Why would you want to lie on the floor where it's uncomfortable and you're going to get backache and it's going to be cold and damp? What is wrong with you, boy?
Literally lie on the floor.
How are we friends? Like, this is about hotels and luxury.
Because opposites attract and we're so different.
We are so different and exactly the same. Let's move on. Success of the week. Do you have one?
We have adding in some stuff while I find the thing because I had to move things around because Sacha was unprepared. Carrie Hardisky says she finished writing her, let me just read it in first person. Finished my full rewrite draft, went from 10k to just under 30k. Still have some gaps, but I have to move on with the series. Also started up my vlog series, had to make it monthly, documenting my writing journey, some life events and clips of an adorable little girl. It'll be fun to put together. So that's lots of stuff moving forward. Well done, Carrie.
That is awesome. Okay, so Patreon. Do we have any new patrons?
We don't have any new patrons, I don't believe. And
I also
for
don't
those,
believe we do.
No, and for those who are patrons, we do have our anniversary episode coming up. It'll be the day after this goes live. So join us at 8 p.m. GMT in a Zoom room in which you can join me and Sacha for all the madness. And that is also being obviously streamed into the Facebook group for anyone that wants to join in and watch. So that's facebook.com/groups/nextlevelauthors or patreon.com/nextlevelauthors.
We should probably put that on our to-do list to sort out this week because I definitely forgot all about it. And whilst he is doing that, oh shite. It's the thing of the week that we've enjoyed, and guess what? Sacha didn't prepare this week. Dan, do you have a thing that you've enjoyed whilst I think about a thing that I've enjoyed?
Yeah, my thing, it's part enjoyment, part frustration. So the thing that I've enjoyed this week is WandaVision. And I'm not going to give spoilers away just for people that might be, taking their headphones out.
I didn't even get through 15 minutes of the first episode.
No, so this is the thing. Like, it's a good show. I'm on episode, I want to say 6 or 7, so I've not yet finished it, but it's a good show. But what is really frustrating with lots of TV series at the minute is the fact that there are so many shows where people say, oh, you just have to stick through the first 3 episodes. And it's like, I don't want to waste 2 hours of my time watching a thing just to then enjoy the rest of it. Like something's changed in TV shows where it used to be hook them in the first episode, which is what I freaking love. Like, give them that hook. It's the same as when you read a book. I don't want to get to page 50 before I'm suddenly excited. Saying that, I did bear with WandaVision, and I would argue that if anyone, isn't like you said you can get parts the first 15 minutes. I get it. Like, just go start at episode 4 if you really can't bother to watch that kind of stuff, because I don't personally, I get why they're doing it, because it adds like a nice little sort of setup for episode 4.
Mm.
And with Marvel, it's such a big universe that you can invest at any point. People are ready to go. They're gonna consume it. But for me, it's just annoying having to wait that long to get to the point where it starts making sense, as it were. But I mean, in terms of production, in terms of sort of casting, in terms of where like the production value of TV series has just skyrocketed over the past like 4 or 5 years. Like 15 minutes of each episode is just the credits, like at the end. Like they're actually half hour long, but it says 45 minutes on the reel, which obviously is testament to how much they're investing in these kind of properties. But yeah, at the same time, hook. It really frustrates me. There's so many shows I want to watch, and so many people are like, yeah, just make it through the first. I'm like, no, make it good so I want to watch it, please.
I agree. I completely agree. It's just lazy, and I think it's lazy writing when it happens in books as well.
I mean, the show itself is very experimental in what they try to do, which I appreciate. But again, like in the first episode, there's a couple of like moments where you realize that it leads to something bigger, but I want more of it. Do you know what I mean? What's your thing?
Starbucks.
Way!
Like, for real, it actually gives me life. There are not, like, I feel like I could rant about this, because in a time where lots of things are difficult and there's lots of misery and negativity, like sometimes we would judge ourselves for taking small joys because it costs us £3 a pop. And honest to God, I will drink a Starbucks coffee. It's 15 minutes when I leave the screen, the only 15 minutes in the day when I leave the screen, and I go and get a coffee. And I don't do it every day, but I probably do it like 3 times a week. And I am instantly a different person because it brings me so much joy. It's such a small thing. Like, I love the taste. I love how I feel afterwards. I love that it's a treat for myself, and it's just a small thing that I do. And like, I get giddy with excitement. Like, Chloe was mocking me a little bit yesterday in the car, or not mocking me, but she was sort of laughing at how much I was excited by getting a coffee. And I'm like, do you know what? Like, fuck this. Like, if it's going to bring me a little bit of joy, I'm going to fucking do it. And I'm not going to, apologize or, yeah. So Starbucks, on the days where I get a Starbucks, it just brings me with so much joy. And so who gives a fuck if I'm spending £50 a month on coffee? I literally don't care.
And for your free £5 Starbucks voucher, please visit sashablack.com/next-level-authors.
Oh, it's me organising this thing. Weekly confessional. Listen, I am like not even remotely with it today. Weekly confessional. I don't know what our tasks were. Mine
was to finish the second edit of Self-Publishing Blueprint, which is done. And like I say, it's in the hand of beta readers. So tick that one off and get ahead on ghostwriting. I am ahead where I need to be. So we're there.
I think mine was to work on side characters, if I'm right. I think that was mine, wasn't it?
Probably.
It's that, I think, yeah. And I wrote...
I think it's to finish side characters.
No, it wasn't. I still got like 26 sections. It's not going to happen. I genuinely think this fucking book is going to go like north of 80k. I just do.
It's never going to finish.
I know. Anyway, I wrote 4,200 words, so nearly 4,300 words this week so far. Which is a little bit under what I would normally do, but I still have today and the weekend. And also, this is the first week back after being sick, and I've worked every single night this week apart from
Sasha, it's fine.
Okay, whatever. Let's just move on.
It's okay.
Is it though? Is it? Because my achiever says no.
I'm here for you. Like,
I am not happy.
You've done good, pal. Well done.
All right, question of the week. No, comments.
So last week's episode was what should you be saying no to? A couple of comments from our patrons. Got one for Scott, which referenced my attempt at a Scottish opener. Says, Dan, as a Scotsman, I'm not sure whether to feel horrified or aroused by that opening accent. Please never do it again so I don't get this confused. Taken on board. Faye says, I need to quit my self-doubting and bending to other people's schedules. And Cassie says, this was a tough and tricky question. Certainly challenges my mindset along with all the should do versus nice to have hamster wheel of info I've been reading lately. And then a couple of comments on our Facebook group. One from Sam Frost, who says, other people's expectations of how I should be progressing and navigating my journey, having to choose one thing and staying in my lane. I've decided my lane will be whatever I want it to be, go where I choose, and be as wide as it needs to be to fit all my passions. Meg says, congrats on episode 50. You know, it was a milestone, not that many people agree with that. Saying no is a constant practice of cultivating boundaries. I find much like practicing discipline or meditation or good habits. I'm not perfect, but I always try to say no to anything that doesn't grow my reach, grow my profit, or grow myself, which I absolutely love that.
I do too. I think that's very profound. And I will just apologize that I think it was the second week running that I haven't commented. So I will make sure I do that this week. Okay, question of the week.
Dun, dun, dun.
So
there's an airplane going over just so people hear a weird noise.
I did hear it. I have actually spent most of this week trying to think of a question, and I didn't decide the question until this morning. And the reason is because I was going to ask a different question anyway.
That's a loud airplane.
Pardon?
It's a loud airplane.
It is a very loud aeroplane, so I'm just going to keep talking so that the audio is more focused over here and not your rumbling belly.
On me? I want the light on me.
Yeah, on you. Okay, so I'm feeling reflective this week, and I'm trying to turn what at the time was a real negative for me into a reflective positive, which I thought you would appreciate. So the question is, what did you learn or take away from your old careers?
Ooh, okay. Careers, plural.
Well, you know, I mean, because this can be anything from like being a paper round boy or something all the way up to whatever your last job was.
Yeah, so I've had a lot of jobs over the years. I've done paper round, I've worked in estate agents, I have worked at Woolworths, I've worked in B&Q, I've worked at a bowling alley, I've had about 4 different bar jobs, I've been a chlamydia screening assistant. I have
my favourite job of yours.
It was my favourite job as well. And just for context for people, it was essentially the people that go out in sort of towns, bars, clubs, fates, and try and get people to do on-the-spot chlamydia screening tests. And no matter what your comfort level is in terms of discussing sexual health, taking that job and learning how to build relationships with a subject that's typically not spoken about is incredibly useful for confidence, for communication, for just having fun and people skills. And like I worked it for 5 years. I will also say that as an 18-year-old getting into that business and earning like £11 an hour was wonderful. So like, yeah, that was a fun one. What else have I done? Worked at university, worked in student union. I've been a parkour coach and instructor. I've been a slackline teacher. So suffice to say, like I've had a fair like spread of jobs. But
how old were you when you got your first job?
I was 15.
15? Cool, you were old.
Yeah, I was 15 that I got my paper round. And that was like, it was such a small paper round. I had to deliver 13 papers a day. And it was like getting up at 5:30 so I can get to the shop at 6 and then sort of crack on from there. Lessons learned, like each one's kind of brought with its own lesson. Obviously, like with the paper round, it's early rises, it's discipline, it's the reward of earning your own money. I did paper round when I was 15, so I was 16. No, I was 13 when I started.
I was 13 when I got my
first job. I was 13, yeah. So I did it when I was 13 through when I was 16. And I got to the point where I started like going in the shop early and arranging the papers for the other paper people. And at the same time, when I was 16, I was also doing part-time work in the estate agents. So I was making about £80 a week as a 16-year-old, which, you know, when you're that age and your friends are kind of getting like 5-10 quid a week and you're suddenly like Mr. Moneybags, it was a good feeling because like, you know, I'm the type of guy that like splash it out on friends. Like, I'm that guy. So that kind of showed me the reward of earning. I've always enjoyed learning new skills. I think when I started getting more involved in parkour and free running, I think that's the real big thing that kind of taught me about the process of mindset, in terms of, and I always use this example, is because I think a lot of people, they'll see free running or they'll see parkour as just like, and you know, there are jokes everywhere online of, oh, just jumping up the curb or just like jumping off a wall or whatever. And for me, I really learned the heart of the philosophy of what parkour was, which is boiled down to its basic principles. It's the practice of getting from point A to point B in the most efficient way possible. So it's all about efficiency. It's all about how can you improve all of the steps that you take to minimize the effort expenditure and maximize the reward. And so from that, like, it would be a case of, you know, it's all about incremental changes, like tiny little things that just help you and physically, but then you can apply those to sort of processes and things that you do just generally in your day. But I remember the most real example of that I remember is when I first ever went out, and my mate basically was like, let me take you out for a day for parkour. Because I was the guy that was just like, oh yeah, jumping off a curb, parkour, hey. And he took me out for a day and we did some practicing. I fell in love with it straight away. But we went to a car park that was about, we were on sort of like the 4th story, and just where the edge wall was, which was about, you know, just slightly above waist height, looking down, it was probably about a 30-foot drop. And across the way, there was about an 8-foot gap where you can jump down onto another roof.
Oh, I remember the video. You've shown me this video.
There is a video of this on my Facebook if people want to see. But yeah, there was sprayed on the wall was the word Talus. So it was called the Talus Gap. And I remember looking at that and kind of looking down and being, holy fuck. And he was like, yeah, some people have jumped that. I was like, nah. He was like, yeah, only 2 people have ever jumped that. I went, no, that's stupid. Like, that's such a ridiculous jump. And I forgot about it. I went off, I practiced with this guy. We formed like a little group, and like me and 4 guys went out and we'd sort of practice every weekend. And a year later, I remember just randomly with the same guy walking back past that jump and looking at it and just being like, that gap's gotten smaller. And it was a genuine, in my head, it was a genuine, this gap has shrunk.
Wow.
And obviously that's just a case of learning your limits, practicing smaller things that then compile into seeing like the bigger picture of stuff. And I hadn't prepared for it, but I just got up and I jumped it. Like, just stood on the edge of that wall and just went and did it.
Wow.
A really grainy video. You have to search like back on through my Facebook videos. But that had such a profound impact on me because it just showed that, because it wasn't that I was practicing for that jump. It was just that was a byproduct of the process. And like I say, that lesson just in general has just stuck with me constantly. And even like just moving forward in my writing, that's the same thing. Like, practice the process and the product will just grow and become exponentially better just from learning to love the grind. So yeah, like teaching that to other people. And when I used to run my parkour sessions, sort of like sports centers and again, fates and things, we used to do a lot of outdoor stuff. I always tried to focus on the ground level, the foundational stuff, because a lot of people, believe it or not, a lot of people love the idea of being able to flip and being able to do the big jumps and things. My classes focused mainly on like mastering your rolls, just making sure your technique for your vaults was like pristine. And I remember an example of me and some guys ended up collaborating with a local youth group, and we did a thing called it was called Fly. It was a competition called Fly. So what we did was we took the what's the word? I don't know if disadvantage is the right word, but sort of like the kids that were struggling within certain areas of Lincoln, we gave them an opportunity to come together and we split into groups. So it was competitively groups of kids doing parkour routines on the stage in this church with like lights and springboards and stuff. It was wicked. And I remember there was a 12-year-old, obviously 12-year-old at the time, who was fantastic at flips. And in front of this whole crowd, he jumped off of this trampette, did a front flip, middle of the spotlights, just center on stage. I remember just sitting back and watching, and he over rotated, and it looked like he was about to smack his face on the floor. And just instinctively, he put out his foot and just executed one of the most perfect safety rolls I've ever seen. He just converted it into a roll. And afterwards, everyone was like talking about like the flips and the vaults and that. I just remember sitting there and being like, when I saw him after, I was like, that roll was perfection. Because it's that stuff where I'm like, this is what's going to save you. This is the stuff you need to master before you do anything else. So absolutely process in that regard. And then moving much more forward, because I could dive into this question for hours, clearly.
It was a good one then.
It was a fantastic one, yeah. But yeah, working when I was managing a marketing team, I accelerated very quickly from I applied on the off chance, because at the time I was working on my own editing business. I wanted more secure income because I had a young child, and I applied for a communications assistant role, which I'd done stuff with marketing before. I'd done stuff with publications. I've done stuff with like reaching out and connecting groups and running events and stuff. But within a year and a half, I think it was 2 years, I went from that entry level into managing an entire marketing team. And it wasn't just, okay, you can step up, you can be a manager now. It was, this marketing team is failing. Half of your staff have left, so you need to recruit new staff and train them in. And it was one of those situations where I could see it coming because of the way that everything was working for sort of weeks, months before. And I adamantly was like, if this opportunity presents itself, I'm not taking it, because it's too much and I don't want that pressure. And then the opportunity presented itself to me, and I went away and I thought about it, and I was like, when else in your life are you going to have this chance to grow? Because at that point, it was the first time I'd only been line managing anyone for like 6 months. So I hadn't even got like real experience in terms of managing a team. And I took it on. I turned the team around. I brought in new people. Like, the marketing team got into a position where, there was actually strategy. It was actually like benefiting the organization. And a lot of that, the main lessons I learned from that were like being ridiculously humble and honest with your faults, because I don't think it was it was very, very obvious to everyone in that organization that I hadn't got a lot of experience managing. But I used that to my advantage in terms of like asking other managers questions and connecting with them, like taking their advice. If I did screw up, saying, okay, this is a learning opportunity, I'll remember that for next time, and sort of rolling that. And then just working with people and trying to understand people in general, and really, really appreciating the fact that these people, although they're obviously, employed to help you and to help the organization achieve whatever it is they want to achieve, they've all got their own individual lives, and like they've got their own reasons for being there. So I think managers can go one of two ways. They can either emphasize too much with their team and just be resentful of upper management, or they can be in upper management's pocket and then forget the fact that the people working beneath them are just genuine people trying to live their lives, and they have their own struggles and down days and whatnot. So I really tried to tread that balance, and a lot of the lessons I learned then was sort of when to let something go, or when to actually pay attention to things in order to stop them happening next time. And just setting firm boundaries on what is conducive to work and what just isn't. And yeah, I think obviously a lot of the lessons I learned then, I was involved a lot with sort of marketing strategy, organizational strategy, which then goes into running a business as an author, as an independent, which we've covered. I forgot that was a thing until about 6 months ago. But yeah, there's so many, like I could talk about this all day.
So I think the thing that I love most was your story about the parkour, and it's so utterly profound. And I think you should put it in the self-publishing blueprint book, if I'm honest, because that mindset shift where your brain literally told you that it was a fucking chasm of a jump to then, show you that you're more than capable of doing it. I love that story so much. Like, I almost got goosebumps listening to you talk about it. Like, it is profound and so key. Like, I know we can say, oh, be really woo-woo and, mind over matter and all that stuff, but it is so true for so many things.
That was the question I always got, was like, because obviously you get to a point where you start jumping roofs and you start looking for those bigger gaps, and people are like, oh, I don't know how you do it. And generally the answer was always, because I know I can. You practice ground level safely to the point that you understand what your limits are. And then when you're up in the air and it's freaking dangerous, you don't push those limits.
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah.
This will be interesting.
Yeah. So
Before you start, are you being reflective about this because you're considering going back to the day job? Because if you are, we're going to have a problem.
I could give you many a banterous statement about me not going back to work. But let me just say it straight. Over my dead fucking body will I ever work for anybody ever again. You will literally have to rip my soul from my rotting fucking carcass before I ever go back and work for somebody else. Right, so I also started work at 13 and worked, I think my first job was as a pot washer. Like I literally washed up in the back of a pub. And then I worked as a waitress. I worked in a coffee shop. I loved that I worked in a coffee shop before I drank coffee as well. I didn't drink coffee until uni when I had to like pull all-nighters. Anyway, and yeah, I worked in numerous bars and pubs. I was president of my students' union at university, and then I got onto, of course, and then I got onto a graduate management scheme in a very corporate conservative organization. And there are a handful of moments from that time that will never ever leave me, and that's those occasions I'm going to talk about, and I've talked about some of them before. And I think I've probably got like 2 or 3 lessons that are a culmination of these happenings. The first one is that bureaucracy is the killer of creativity.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what organization you are in. Yeah. There will be someone who will try and wrap several layers of bureaucracy around stuff. And sometimes you just have to fucking do the thing and get it done, because otherwise it will never get done or things will never change. And so I am very cognizant in my own business of not having process for process sake, and always being willing to look at my processes and adapt them or change, or be willing to experiment, or willing to, you know, outsource or just try something new, because that particular organization was so afraid of trying anything new and was very much stuck in this is the way that we do stuff because we've always done it this way. And so that is one of those lessons that I learned, because I don't want to be like that. Some of the other lessons were much more like interpersonal. And one of them is that I am utterly unbreakable. Like, I don't break. Now, I physically break, of course, as kind of seen from last week, but mentally, you literally can't break me. There is nothing that anybody can do to me that will break me, because I am so like, and this is when it comes to a goal or a thing. And they tried to break me. They tried to mold me into what they wanted. And, you know, I've talked about the story when I was in a tree crying in the middle of winter, and like just fraught with anxiety and depression, and, you know, not like, I was in pain every single day. And I have this photo that is, my face is just in pain, and I keep it as a reminder to remind me that I am unbreakable, because I was there and I was not having nice thoughts, and, you know, I was in a very bad place, and I am still here, and I won, and, you know, I got what I wanted, and I reached my goal. And so I will always remember that it doesn't matter how much a place tries to break you. If you have something that's bigger than that, if you have a goal that's bigger than that, or something that's more important to you than that, they cannot break you. Nobody can break you unless you give them permission to do that. And that was like, I will never, ever, ever forget how I felt in that tree. And yeah, so that is a lesson, I think, that I have learned. When there is something bigger, I am unbreakable in my determination for it, no matter, you know, how dire the circumstances are, you know. And they were dire. I had 40 grand of debt. I was living in a house owned by my employer, so not only I was trapped essentially, because if I lost my job, I lost our home, and we were priced out of the market essentially where we were living. I think the rents for most of the properties around there were close to 2 grand, so, you know, there was no way we were going to be able to afford that every single month. So I was priced out. I couldn't move, I couldn't change job, and I'd been told I wasn't going to get any more senior there. So yeah, like that was difficult. And then and then the other thing, I think the other biggest lesson is that whoever you are, whatever is like at the core of you, whatever is your truest self and your most like humblest being, is your superpower. I was hated in that organization. You know, I was told I didn't dress corporately enough. I was told my personality was a risk to my reputation. I was told I wouldn't get any more senior because I wouldn't play the politics. I was told, well, you don't change, no matter if you're talking to a senior director or if you're talking to, you know, a peer staff member, you always sound the same. You don't change who you are. And I was like, yeah, but that I was told that as a bad thing. And so many times I was told, you know, I was never good enough in my, I mean, I was like, I still got, it's hard to explain because like the old, you know, your performance monitors were, are you delivering on your jobs? And always, every single time I got the fucking job done, but I was never good enough, me as a person, like that bit of like my personality was never good enough. And so, yeah, like people are always going to take issue with the thing that is your superpower, and whatever it is that is, you know, so fundamentally at your core of you, it is your superpower. And because it's your superpower, it shines bright. And people don't like bright, shiny things because they're scary. They are a mirror on what is their weaknesses or their flaws. And so I think in being told so many times that I was wrong or I didn't fit or I wasn't good enough because of who I was, I realized that it was all bollocks. And now I am here because of all of those things, and because I treated that piece of me that's like that is the rebel, if you like, as a superpower. And I, you know, I cared for it and I nurtured it. And I, you know, that is what got me out of that organization. So yeah, like I think the three lessons are: bureaucracy is a killer of creativity. The second one is that I'm unbreakable mentally. And the third one is that your superpower, no matter, like, if you can find the thing that is uniquely you, it is your superpower, and it will bring you untold gifts. So yeah, I think those are my lessons.
There's just so much you can dig into there. Like, just sort of bouncing off of that superpower thing, is there was a person who worked in one of my former organizations who, and every organization has one of these people who, they are so insecure in themselves, they are so scared of getting caught out on their flaws, that they just crash onto yours and try and highlight everything that you're doing wrong in order to protect themselves. Normally those people tend to be senior somehow. But one of the things I definitely learned from interacting with that person, particularly when they started questioning the value of some of the people that work on my team, despite the fact they have no idea how my team worked because they were on the other side of the organization, was that value and knowing that you're in the right. And for me, it was always about finding where the people on my team excelled and capitalizing on that. We spoke, I don't think we ever followed up on this, but a couple of weeks ago, we spoke about a thing called the T-shaped marketing model. And like, it's not necessarily just for marketing. And, you know, this gets a bit in depth on sort of like business. It works best when you've got a team. But it used to be that you write a job description and that person, no matter who they are, has to fit that job description specifically to deliver the job. Whereas like the T-shaped marketing model is essentially, you have a flat line, which is all of the things that you want your person to be. So for example, they're all for business. It can be, how are you with marketing? Can you run newsletter campaigns? Are you okay on social media? Are you good with communication? Finance, how do you handle finance? Design, how do you do that? Business. So you have all your different sort of main categories of what you do. And then you rank yourself 1 to 10 in each of those things. So you give yourself sort of like spikes and whatnot. And you'll find that 9 times out of 10, people have one that they excel in. So what you then do is, if you're looking at building a team, you look for other people who have that basis that you're looking for, that you have, that covers everything. So you have sort of like a tolerance level of what you need to have minimum. And then the other people you bring onto your team should be able to excel in those gaps that you don't have. because then you have a balanced team that's able to cover the spectrum of what you need to do.
Mm.
And just as a model in general, like I think, you know, like I say, it's a bit more in depth, but people can apply it to a lot of stuff. When I learned about that, it was mind blowing, because it was like, it's not about the job, it's about the people.
Mm.
So yeah, there we go. That's my 2 cents.
So there we go. Bit of a deep, profound one this week. So
good job, Sacha.
I know. Thanks. Apparently exhaustion
You're getting all
helps
nostalgic.
me. I know. I just wanted, it's been such a shit week. I wanted to be really positive and like rah about something. How are we leveling up our businesses this week?
I don't want to. I'm fine where I am right now. I have a short story I need to write. I'm going to do the short story, and I'm also going to reassess my financial situation.
Okay,
because we're getting up to the end of the tax year, aren't we? So
yeah,
we need to do that stuff.
So
and also
interestingly,
bloody anniversary special next week.
Yeah, I'm not putting that as a task though, because we're obviously going to do that. I am going to back up all of my files.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so every so often I try to keep all the Rebel author stuff, but it's across like iCloud and Google Drive, so just pull it all off and back it all up and then delete it so that it's not taking up shitloads of storage. So I'm going to do that, and also back up all of my book files. And I'm going to continue working on side characters. I just don't know when it's going to end. I just don't fucking know when this book is going to end.
It's got to be so annoying. Like, I feel like with fiction books, you can very easily sort of start curtailing things in directions to finish up. But yeah, with non-fic, when you're trying to,
I'm
just
desperate.
Keep finding more things.
I'm literally desperate. Like I almost feel hysterical. I want it to end.
If you're listening to this show and you've heard Sacha struggle with this book, if you don't buy the book, you're going to hell.
Like
whenever it comes out in 2024.
Fuck you. It is coming out this year. Like I cannot allow this to go on much longer. Like
your book's being a rebel.
It is, the little bastard. Anyway. Hopefully it will either be next week or the week after. Like it just has to be, it must. Am I going to do anything else? I mean, I'm going to do loads of other things. I'm just going to leave it there. I think I'm going to back up my files and I'm going to do side characters. I really need the business thing I need to do is back up my files. Of course, I will also be doing all of that consolidation and stuff, but that's because I have to do that anyway. Okay, so audience question of the week. What have your past careers taught you?
Cool. And I want to do a quick reminder just for people one last time, because this is the last chance for us to tell people. Oh no, it's not, because I know this is going Tuesday. Wow, time. Yeah, join us. If you're listening to this on Tuesday, join us tomorrow on the Facebook group at 8 p.m. GMT, where we'll be going live. If you're a patron, join us live on the actual call. And if you're listening to this beforehand, that date still applies. It's just not tomorrow. It'll be on Wednesday, the 24th of March.
Yeah. And of course, you'll be able to get the replay when it goes live as a podcast.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Hungry for more?
If you enjoyed this podcast, you can hear more of my angelic accent and Dan's dulcet tones on our other podcasts.
For more of me, check out the Great Writers Share podcast.
For more of me, listen to the Rebel Author podcast. We'll be back next week holding each other to account as Dan
and Sacha
become
next level
authors.
Which is exactly why I wanted the fucking Bluetooth ones in
Sacha!
the first fucking place. It's Helga, hello. Oh, I'm so joyful. Helga doesn't want to stab things. It's a lie. She wants to stab all the things, make sacrifice.
I want to stab everything.
Drink blood of enemies.
I don't know if that was Transylvanian or German. I'm sorry.
Shall we like, oh.